Happy Friday. Welcome to the Pitch Strike Chronicles, where fans become family. And I believe our friend is ready to join us. And Spencer, how is everything going? But actually, before we get to you, um, let's finish with the intro. Yeah, it's definitely a Friday. I will confess, I am here with Rob and as well with Donald. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us in the chat. And if you have not already, or you are new, hit that sub button, hit that like button. Subscribing to the channel does allow you to hang out in the chat. So make sure you do that and interact with all the other great subscribers and members of this family. With that being said, I'm going to toss it back to Spencer. Gave me a call last night. I always enjoy having a conversation with you, whether it's baseball, friendship, family, it's all the same. How have you been feeling?
Good morning, Bobby. Thank you so much for calling. And I want to tell all your subscribers a little sidebar. Congratulations on surpassing 700 subscribers. You guys deserve it,
Thank
and
you.
it's understood why you have so many people interested in the show. Just want to share with you verbally that there has been some improvement in my situation. I've gained a little bit of vision back. I can navigate myself around my house without the need for feeling furniture or touching walls or objects for reference. I can get around pretty liberally inside my house. Can't really do the same thing outside. I've attempted to take some walks around my neighborhood, short walks for that matter, and numerous times I still get myself disoriented and lost, and I end up flagging down, a stranger, kind neighbors. To my surprise, my reputation precedes me. A lot of people know who I am. I guess I'm known as a blind guy in the neighborhood, so I appreciate that. But I've had some people, come to my rescue, put me back on track, help me get home. Everything is in black and white. I can't see clearly, even though I have the screen on now, and the screen, has images. I can't see you guys. Um, but like if an individual gets close to me in close proximity, I'm able to better see their facial features. I can make out silhouettes, and uh, I can. I'm starting to be able to make out images. This is a lot better than being completely blind. And if you want to know what it was like for me for about 3 to 4 months, just close your eyes, and that's what it was like. And when I would open my eyes, it was just darkness, complete darkness. So it's good to be out of the dark. I'm not fully recovered yet, and there's really no telling how recovered I'll get. But we're on the way. And I want to thank all three of you guys again. You guys have been terrific. You guys have really been very supportive of me and my situation. And again, I just want to reiterate, you guys have been an avenue to normalcy for me. I really appreciate your show, and it was really one of the things that helped me get through this. Thanks so much.
Yeah, we appreciate the kind words. Obviously, it's our friendship has really grown through the last few months. Which is what really created the whole where fans become family, because this is what it's become. And I want to. The other thing that I wanted to get to this morning is, as much as the Yankees are on a roll and we're enjoying every moment of this team right now, there is also a very somber day in Yankee
Yeah.
history today. So I know this is one of the main reasons why you wanted to join us and share your thoughts on it. This is
Yeah.
the 45th anniversary of Thurman Munson's passing. So it puts in perspective where this is also, as much as we bash players and things like that, they're people, and
Yeah.
they do have a personal life, and they have their things that they have going on the side. But
No Aaron
give us
Hicks.
a little bit of your uh, just a little bit of your memories of the events.
My first baseball game, I was a youngster. I was invited to go to Yankee Stadium for the birthday party of my friend Josh Silverman, and that was in 1979. It was the Yankees versus the A's, and I saw Thurman Munson, and I looked at the baseball almanac. I found the box score for the game, I saw something that very few Yankee fans were ever in attendance for. I saw Thurman Munson, and I saw him hit a triple. I still remember him running around the bases. I still remember the infield high up in the upper deck from behind home plate. The infield was very, it was almost like a cigar brown. And I remember his helmet falling off and him sliding into third base. And from as far as despite how high up we were, you could really see his mustache. He really had that 1970s mustache thing going on. When the news came out that he was killed in a plane crash, obviously, again, being a youngster, I didn't really take it in with the emotion that adults would. It was a little confusing for me. For some reason, I don't know why I recall this with the memory, but I seem to associate hearing the news of Thurman's death in a Burger King. We were getting some Burger King at the time that it happened. I recall my father coming to me and telling me, Reggie Jackson is crying. We've all seen videos of a shot of Reggie in the outfield during the national anthem and the tribute to Thurman days after he was killed and the day that he was buried. We see Reggie Jackson bowing his head and becoming emotional. I don't remember asking my father about that, but I probably did because I have this recollection of my dad saying, Reggie is crying because he misses Thurman Munson. So even though I was a youngster and even though I only saw one game with Thurman Munson in it, 45 years later, I feel very glad that I have at least a little something, a little bit of a piece of memory with Thurman Munson in it. And it's just remarkable to me how his legacy continues and how even today the Yankees and Yankee fans are still in awe of this individual. And it really tells you what kind of a person he was. He was a captain's captain. Thank you, Bob.
Yep. So, it's definitely one of those. I think it speaks to the impact of Thurman that 45 years later, he still has the same impact in this team. There's still, I believe they still have the empty locker. I believe they kept that from the old stadium. So, but we wish his wife well. We hope that that her foundation is proving successful.
Yeah.
But let's get into the fun nitty gritty Friday of baseball chatter. And I'm going to throw it to Donald. I know he's getting a little antsy. He wants to brag about his New York Yankees and the sweep of the Phillies. So, Donald, how we feeling about that? How we feel about that sweep, buddy?
I'm not antsy. I'm fine. Absolutely fine. No, I'm feeling good, man. I'm particularly happy about Jazz Chisholm. The guy was excellent, and who knew that DJ LeMahieu would end up breaking his career record?
Yeah, right.
6 RBIs in one game. It was DJ LeMahieu 6, Phillies 5. So there you go. That shuts us up. But I'm happy to be shut up, to be honest. So that's a good thing. So that was some show from DJ LeMahieu. It really was.
Well, Donald, about that last game, and I was telling this to Bobby. I believe that there is true Pinstripe Chronicles magic to the show. I believe that this show brings magic to the Yankees because thinking back to the game that you and Bobby went to, all of a sudden the guys who weren't hitting, Verdugo, Volpe, you got good pitching, I think, from Clay Holmes. DJ got a hit. I mean, all the guys who weren't getting hits got hits on the day that you guys went. I was there in Philadelphia. Okay, now I have to admit I missed the DJ home run because of traffic and navigation. We actually didn't get into our seats until the 5th inning. Can you believe that? Getting to a game of the 5th inning.
That's brutal.
But still, I was going to the game. We had the tickets. We did see DJ get that double, and we also witnessed Clay Holmes get out of the inning with only facing 4 batters. And for me, it went like this. I couldn't see the field. My sister was, helping with the play-by-play. So there was like a pause in the 9th inning. And I'm wondering, what's going on? What's going on? I mean, there was like a good 20 seconds. I'm like, did somebody get a game-winning hit? Did the Phillies tie it up? What happened? And my sister says, the game is over. I said, what? said, it's over. The Yankees got a double play, and the game is over. I couldn't believe it. I thought with Clay Holmes on the mound, the game is over. You mean there's not a runner on first and third with like Bryce Harper coming up, and he's got 2 balls on him already. The game is really over. So I feel like as part of the Pinstripe Chronicle family, I helped bring some of that magic to the Yankees to Citizens Bank Ballpark that day. So I'll take a little credit for that.
Rob, what would you want to take away from the sweep? And I know there are many.
Yeah, it was good to get a sweep. Good to get some W's. Tied for first place again. Thanks for Baltimore losing yesterday. And DJ LeMahieu finally came through. I hope this starts his retirement tour because I still don't trust him. But look, anyone who can step up, please step up. That's all I've been asking. Is just someone to step up. And DJ LeMahieu did. He won the game by himself. So, hey, I'll give him credit for that. I'm not going to take anything away from him. That was a fantastic performance. It's his best game of the year. It's his best game probably in 2 years now. So, hey, hopefully we can see more of that down the line. But I'm not going to hold my breath. Hopefully I'm wrong. But, hey, until he proves otherwise, I still don't think he should be playing as much. But I will give him credit for that game. Pitching was fine. Nestor was okay. Clay Holmes actually got out of the jam. I thought for sure once the first guy got on, I was like, here we go again. He's going to prove every one of us right and every Yankee player and front office member wrong. But he got out of it. So these are the kind of wins we were getting in the first 2 months that we weren't getting in the last month and a half. And I'm glad to see the tables have turned back in our favor a little bit. And the fact that we were able to survive such a bad month and a half, thanks to Baltimore for not playing well either. I mean, they didn't play well. It's not like they fought their way through this month and a half, but they survived it, and here we are back tied for first place. So, hey, the season starts today as far as I'm concerned. Let's get going because that's a huge series. To see Jazz step up the way he did so quickly, Mark Leiter giving us big innings so quickly. I think we're going to see De Los Santos today because I'm not sure what they're going to do with that bullpen, but let's roll, man. Let's just keep winning. The schedule's a little more favorable for us the next couple of months, so hey, the good times seem to, for now, are back. Let's just see if they can keep them going.
Hey, I just want to point out about Mark Leiter. For me, it got the sentimental vibes going because I saw Al Leiter, his uncle, pitch as a rookie for the Yankees, and he pitched in a very memorable game in September of 1988. It was the Yankees versus the Tigers. It was a game that went 18 innings. Detroit went ahead in the 18th inning, 3-2, and then the Yankees walked it off with a Claudell Washington 2-run homer. But seeing Mark Leiter on this team, I mean, it really has like kind of a full circle thing going for me. So in that regard, it was exciting just being in attendance, at the same game that he made his debut in, his uncle considered.
Yeah, and I believe his father pitched for the Yankees in 1990. Mark Leiter.
Yeah, he retired with the Yankees also. I remember Ron Guidry taking him off in a spring training game. So he did return. So, yeah. Hey, Rob, I wanted to ask you, because I've been, trying to follow with the standings. The Orioles have been slogging, but it feels like every team in baseball is slogging. It feels like there's no team that can really get ahead. Even Philadelphia with its, big lead and being about, 25 games above 500. Do you see this happening all over baseball, even with the Dodgers?
I'm actually pulling up the standings now.
Oh, he asked me.
He said, I thought he said Bob.
I'll ask the question. Philly's been struggling. The Mets have been hot. I think the Padres have been boiling hot. They're winning a lot of games. Dodgers are kind of so-so. But the Yankees, along with a lot of other teams, were in a pretty big slump. So it's kind of interesting how a lot of the better teams have been slumping around the same time. Yeah. And a lot of teams that were struggling caught fire. Like the Mets were struggling and they caught fire. They've been really good over their last 10, I think. San Diego was teetering around 500. They're right back in the race. I think they got a playoff spot now. Atlanta was struggling a little bit. They've kind of stayed around that 500 mark, but now I think they're like 10 games over. So it is interesting how all like the better teams or the expected teams, the teams that were expected to win, all kind of struggle at the same time. And like Ken says, there's parity. That's interesting. I don't think we've seen that before. Where it's like every
Yeah.
team is struggling that was running away with their divisions. Like we seem to be running away with things, or not really, but we couldn't lose. Then we started losing, but so did Baltimore. And
Yeah.
Seattle seemingly couldn't lose, but then they started to lose. And Houston, who couldn't win, they started to win. And then there was kind of a flip, and the Mets couldn't win. Now they can't really lose. It's funny how that works. Baseball is a weird sport, and that's the
Yeah.
kind of stuff you get in a long ass season. I still think the season's too long, but you see things like this that you don't see in other sports. So it is interesting.
Yeah, and I also think that's what threw the trade deadline off, and kind of caused it to become such a seller's market. Because there are so many teams that are still in the mix. They might not
Yeah.
have the rosters to go far, but according to the standings, they're still in it. You don't have. It's not like years past where it was obvious. There was 10 teams obvious every year where they would just, all right, we're just not even. It's not even an option to think of the postseason. Now with the expanded playoffs, they put those teams into the mix.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I know that was Manfred's goal was to kind of spread the wealth a little bit as far as postseason hopes.
Yeah.
But really, it's rose-colored glasses because it's not. We all know that there's maybe out of the what is it, 8 teams now that'll get in.
Yeah.
Really, I'd say 4 or 5 of them are legit. Like it's
Yeah.
not. I don't think. I think at one point we're going to see a sub 500 team in the wild card game. It's just the way,
Yeah.
the way it seems to be trending.
It's a direction.
But no, it is really interesting to see where the standings are and how teams that should, like Baltimore, with the struggles that we had, they should have had a 10-game lead on that division.
Yeah.
And it just, as much as we were bashing on the Yankees, rightfully so, we were very fortunate that teams were struggling, throughout the same month because no team ran away with it.
Yeah.
Donald, what do you
Donald,
think?
what do you think of the Yankees and this 5-game winning streak?
Oh, I think this is what happens. I think Susan Woman put it really well. That you're going to see, it's almost like that Dave Justice effect. It just takes one player to come into the clubhouse and just turn everything upside down.
Yeah.
And get everybody, to wake up a little bit. So that's how when I heard her say that, it kind of made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Donald, how do you feel about it?
Anyway, yes, thank you, Rob, and thank you, Spencer. Tats, are you hearing okay?
Yeah.
When he says Donald, he didn't actually say Bob. And
Oh, I
when
didn't hear
said
who
Bob,
he said.
He didn't actually say Bob.
Listen, we got to go with the flow here,
Gotta get Tats on a boat.
Let's talk about Brian Cashman. Now, I think it was a pretty solid deadline. I don't think it was nearly as bad as some people made it out to be. I think it was pretty solid. I think if you get a deal like Jazz Chisholm, it automatically gives a high grade, in my opinion. I think he's an excellent player. Always have.
Yeah.
But it's fair to say that the Yankees did not go all in. I read an Athletic article, and it was about Brian Cashman's approach. And it seems to me that the Yankees went in on several big-ticket items, but Hal Steinbrenner was concerned about the budget and concerned about next year's budget and the payroll, and so it actually stopped the Yankees from some high ticket items. So first of all, while I get that quote up, what do you guys think about that as a possibility, Rob? Not Bob, Rob.
I don't really see a problem with it because they are still well over the threshold, And any one of those players, like unless they added, like let's say a Jose Ramirez was available, then that's a guy you go push the payroll for. But I'm not gonna start getting mad if they didn't go well past even though they're already over it. Let's add more payroll for. I like Yandy Diaz, but I'm not gonna lose sleep over not getting Yandy Diaz. Like I didn't think that was necessary. Let's keep pushing the payroll. The team is still very good. They do got a lot of guys coming back, and there wasn't that game changer out there. Like Jazz Chisholm so far might have been the best deadline acquisition. And that might be Yankee bias, but you look at what he's done in such a short amount of time, that may have been the best move that a team could have made, and we were able to get him. We got Mark Leiter for a price that was a lot less than what other teams were giving up for relief pitchers, and we're a team that does very well with relief pitchers. So it wasn't like we had to get. I would have loved a Tanner Scott, but was I giving up 3 of our top prospects for him? Absolutely not. So you kind of have to see where Cashman, and you got to see where Hal's coming from. It's like, I've already given you 300 plus million. I don't want you to have to add another like 30 or 40 just to make sure that we win, because you can spend a little bit, but he had a little bit left in the budget because they were willing to add Blake Snell apparently before the season started. So there was still a little bit of money left, and I think that's what they used at the deadline. Now, if they could have gotten more pieces, they would have, because we all know if they got Flaherty, they would have traded Nestor, which could have potentially, there we go, caused them to trade Torres, so that would have cleared some money as well. Obviously, those things didn't happen, so they had to just stick with the 2 moves they did make. Plus, they got Caleb Ferguson off the payroll. He wasn't making that much, but they were working in the realm of, we want to add for next year's team, keep our budget smart, because we also have to make sure, because this is going to be the only thing they really do. Most of the team is set next year. Priority 1, and the only priority should be, is Juan Soto. So they got to make sure they have enough in the budget to get Soto and not go over 300 again, because there's no need to go over 300 again.
You answered my question, Rob. I was going to ask, like how much of an impact Juan Soto next year had on this year's deadline. What are your thoughts?
I think it has a lot to do with it, because none of the players that they wanted were going to cost them too much, but to give up the prospect price for a rental like a Tanner Scott or even a Jack Flaherty, well, I mean, they wanted Flaherty according to Cashman. They were really in on him until the Dodgers swooped in, but a lot of these other players like that would have been that we wanted. Like, let's say they went and got Rengifo, and then they would have got Diaz. These guys would have been making like $7 or $8 million next year, on top of having to pay everybody else, and then you gotta pay Soto, and Soto's gonna get generational money. He might get $50 million a year, so you gotta like plan out for that. A lot of this does have to do with Juan Soto, but it also has to do with who they already have under contract, and they have a lot of guys that they kept in this farm system that they're gonna get called up in the next couple of years. So I think a lot of it has to do with them wanting to retain Soto, but a lot of it also has to do with the fact that you already are paying an insane amount of money. You shouldn't have to keep adding to it, because that would just make us look desperate. And also, the players that were available, they weren't world beaters. They weren't game changers in that sense. I didn't feel like Yandy Diaz would make us better, but it's not like he put us over the top. Tanner Scott probably would have, but again, who's giving up that much besides the Padres? Who's giving up that much for a rental relief pitcher?
So I've got the quote here. When pressed if Steinbrenner went so far as to give him any financial restrictions on what he could do at the deadline, Cashman said, "Hal let me know, you bring everything to me and we'll walk through it. He told me on some of the big items that had multi-year attachments that were significant, that it would impact our flexibility as we move forward, and factor that into your decision-making process." So it does sound like there was some restriction on future free agents if they did work a multi-year deal with a big contract. So as he says here, the only thing that would have affected the payrolls is if you import something significantly that would level next year's payroll in such a way that would make it harder to play on free agents for this coming winter. I guess I can share that nugget, says Cashman. If you lay the landscape, if you brought something in that was going to prevent you, because their contract was so strong, along with everything we've already got, it would kind of prevent you to be fully engaged with any free agent in the winter that you want to pursue. That certainly was a hurdle we had to navigate. But there's very few players with that type of number. So it does sound like the Yankees were very much thinking about next winter, and next year's payroll and things like that. So as a philosophy, that's significantly different than what we're used to. Obviously, as Yankee fans brought up through the 90s, money was no object, especially when it come to winning championships. Now, do I disagree with Hal Steinbrenner? In essence, no, I don't, because I believe with the payroll the Yankees have, they should have a team that's able to compete for a world championship, as is, with that size payroll. However, when your owner is kind of putting restrictions on you, it is something that we're not used to as Yankee fans. I think we can safely say that. And it definitely flies in the face of winning at all costs. I think that's pretty much now out the window. It's definitely no longer win at all costs. It's win at a budget.
These are the new New York Yankees.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, I think Hal and Cashman are in lockstep together, and we might be saying we don't care about next year. It's all about this year, and making sure that Soto doesn't want to leave. But they also, you referenced the teams of the '90s and how it was a spending spree. Just a reminder for the kids keeping score at home. There was no luxury tax back then either.
Yeah.
So I don't want them spending $400 million a year and having to pay a color tax to support another team. So yeah, I want to try to stay out of that one. I want to stay out of as many brackets of the tax threshold that I can.
Yeah.
And I think that's a factor as well. I want to make sure that we have as many dollars available for Soto, because that's the priority. And I think that was their priority as well. That's how I'm looking at it.
I would, to add on to what you're saying, Bobby, of the four of us here, I'm the one who grew up, during the 80s, during the craziness of Steinbrenner. Yankee fans today referring to the 90s, those were great years. And it was always great when Steinbrenner wasn't afraid to go out and get a David Justice or bring Roger Clemens to the Yankees, or even get Alex Rodriguez onto the team, even though that was more Cashman. So my disposition is really I'm okay with Hal, having some restraint, some financial restraint. Having financial restraint doesn't mean that you don't care about your team winning. And I do believe that Hal does want to win. Now, he doesn't project a win at all costs kind of image, but the Yankees of the 80s were just brutal, and it was just chaos. Yes, the Yankees won the 77 and 78 World Series, but thereafter, Steinbrenner thought his formula of just bringing an all-star and the Yankees will win, he thought that would work, and it just drove the Yankees. It just drove them into the ground, and it led up to the terrible 1990 season. Even before 1990, 1989 was a very it was a chore, to watch that team. So again, that's just from my disposition. Just because, believe me, when you go through years and years of chaos, firing managers every year, bringing in players that don't want to be here, having really no plan, to put the team together. I do like the stability that Hal has brought to the Yankees, but I also understand, and those Yankees teams of the 90s were a bit of a blessing and a curse, winning 3 World Series in a row, 4 World Series out of 5 years. That is very hard to do. We are never going to see that again, and we all want that. I want that. You guys want that. Millions of Yankees fans want that. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So I'm just hoping that the Yankees will get another World Series title, hopefully not in 30 or 40 years like what we saw what the Dodgers went through.
But I think the reason why I'm bringing it up is because they all kind of it all ties in together, though, because the Yankees need to have a great year if Juan Soto is going to have any chance of coming back.
Yeah.
So it does tie in. So um, the Yankees not going all in at the deadline is a little bit surprising, considering you've only got Juan Soto for a short period of time. This is your window, regardless of him extending or not. This is your shot. This is your all-in year. You know, if you make a deal for a Juan Soto for 1 year, you have to go all in. It doesn't make any sense not to.
No,
That's a fact.
Yeah, and even though there were moves that were available, I think that they, being that they stayed,
messages from Michelle Crunch. Michelle Crunch.
The trade values were very, off. Sorry, it kind of threw me off. But you're going to give up your top prospects for a rental because that's what they were asking for Tanner Scott. I think it was Jones, Arias, and there was another player that would have been, the equivalent of the prospects the Padres gave up. Were you going to give, Tampa 4 of your top guys, in a Soto-like trade for Yandy Diaz? I don't think, as much as you want the team to be aggressive, they got to be smart about it too. I think that was that's definitely a factor because I don't think the lack of result equates to a lack of effort.
No, and there's other things that came out as well. Like the Reds didn't want to trade Jonathan India. He said it himself. The Yankees they really wanted him, but he went to the Reds and they said we don't really want to trade you because you're part of our future. There were other like the Diaz trade. If it would have went through, would have cost us a lot. Rengifo's still hurt, so those are the only other options for the infield really that we could have went and got. And there were other players that would have just cost us a ton. So, like Paredes would have cost us a lot. And there were other trades that would have cost us Arias plus to get Flaherty. I'm not sure what the price would have been there, but the Yankees have their guys that they consider untouchable, and they also have to worry about next year's budget because they plan on bringing back Juan Soto at all costs. I would hope, right? I think we're all hoping the same thing, that Juan Soto's got to be back here at all costs. And most of the team is under contract for next year. I think we can all agree Torres won't be here. He shouldn't be here. Rizzo shouldn't be here. Clay Holmes, hopefully not, although it wouldn't surprise me if they did bring him back. Verdugo, no. So you have those guys in place to replace those guys. One of them can be Vivas. The other one could be Jazz Chisholm. He could play third or second now with wherever they want to put him. You got Dominguez on the comeback trail. You'll have Spencer Jones more than ready by next year. You have a bunch of pitchers that are going to be ready. So they could still move some money next year and make sure that they can bring in a couple of relief pitching arms. Like maybe they do bring in a closer to replace Clay Holmes via trade or via free agency, and that's it. Because the bullpen is the thing that needs the most work next year. Outside of bringing back Juan Soto, you seemingly have your first baseman in Rice. You might. Or you could have a competition with him and maybe a TJ Rumfield. Second base, Vivas is there. You still have DJ, although I hope he's not there. You have Jazz. You'll have Cabrera that could potentially play some third base. You have guys on the come up. The outfield is set. If Soto's back, you don't got to worry about the outfield, and you don't got to worry about DH. So most of this team is set, as well as the rotation. It's just bringing back Soto and figuring out the final few pieces of that bullpen, and your team is set for next season. That's why, unless they were to add a Flaherty and then trade a Cortez and a Nestor and add like a Tommy Edman who would have been under contract next year, that didn't go through. That was really it, because the other players would have cost them way too much, and other players were hurt or they weren't available. Jonathan India was their guy, and he wasn't available. So there's really not much.
I think that was more my point. I think I'm not interested in the Tanner Scott thing because it would have cost us all our top prospects. That's an absolute non-starter for me. It's ridiculous. Um, However, with a Jack Flaherty, the Yankees actually had a trade in place. It was done. But then they reviewed his medicals and they were unsure, but they were still willing to bring him back. That's what Cashman confirmed.
Mhm.
Still willing to make the trade, but at a lesser cost. But by reneging on the original trade deal, the other team, the Tigers, went on and moved them to the Dodgers. So the Yankees lost them. That I think is my biggest issue. I make that trade. I still make that trade.
For me, Donald and guys, the way the Yankees were playing the past 6 weeks, I just felt that there were way too many holes for them, for this team to get itself back on the winning track. Now, I'm really happy that they've won these last 5 games in a row, but I'm not at the point where I'm ready to declare the Yankees are back. I mean, they have to do some consistent winning. They have to go back to winning series and sweeping series, and they have to just win on a consistent basis. It's very, very hard to start to pick yourself up and to start winning again. This wasn't just a matter of, okay, we'll get Stanton back and we'll get Clark Schmidt back and everything will be all right. There's something about when you're winning, you have a certain mojo, you have a certain energy that's going, and they lost that energy, and it's just very, very hard to get that back. It's one of those things. It's like a je ne sais quoi. I don't know what it is. It's there, but they need to have it, and then they've lost it. So these 5 games have been great, but we'll see how they do. Like maybe in the next couple weeks or so. If they're still winning consistently, then I'm in on the Yankees again. But they're still in a precarious situation, especially with the bullpen. We will see. I mean, they could very easily lose 5 in a row. They could be like the Mets, and go up 500 and then go down under 500. So we shall see what's going on with them. But that also has to do with why I'm not entirely dissatisfied with what they did at the trade deadline. Too many holes to fill.
Right. Let's go back to Jack Flaherty. Would you have made that? Would you have made that deal with the original plan in place? Do you think it was the right thing to do to renege on that trade deal and pass?
If there was something in the medicals, I guess so. I mean, look, when you hear about medicals and passing, obviously the first thing you think of is the Carlos Correa situation. Several teams passed on him before the Twins decided to settle with him. It seems to be working out for them so far. It's a judgment call, and if the Yankees say they saw something in the medicals, what can you do? I'll agree with that. You don't want to get a guy and then have them get injured right away.
Rob,
I don't know what the trade was. Like I think Jack Flaherty is very good. I would have took him on this team, especially knowing that we would have gotten Nestor out of here and potentially Gleyber Torres. I almost called him Gleyber Cortez. So that would have been a good domino effect to get rid of those two guys and add Flaherty. However, I don't think a rental arm was worth Arias or Lombard, because I still think we got to figure out that for the future is who's at third and who's at second. They don't seem to like Jorbit Vivas enough to give him. They call him up to sit him on the bench. I don't know what their plans are for him, and they're going to have they're going to have one infield spot open next year because Jazz is taking one of them, and one of those two guys are Arias or Lombard are going to take over at third. It's just a matter of who they want. Now, I agree. If I had to choose one or the other, I would choose Arias to keep. I like Lombard, but if it took Lombard and a pitcher or two, then I think you can swallow the tough pill there and give them up for that player, especially knowing you could have gotten a king's ransom for Cortez and gotten anything of substance from Gleyber Torres. Then I think you would have been able to recoup some assets. So I would have still made that deal, but I also agree with the fact that they were, like I said the other day, they were very afraid of a repeat of what happened with Montas. And I think that's really what caused them to say, let's still try to make this deal, but we don't want to give you as much. And because of that, the Dodgers said, well, we don't need Trey Sweeney because we've already added 2 infielders, and we can give you one of our many prospects, and we'll make the trade. The Tigers said, okay. Instead of trying to renegotiate at the midnight hour, they just said, let's just go with the Dodgers offer. And look, we can blame Cashman all we want. Nobody knows if Flaherty is going to be good here. I think he would have been, but as we've seen in the past, the Yankees' luck with players they bring in via trade, especially on the pitching side, hasn't been the greatest. So, I mean, it could have gone either way. Although, in an all-in season, I think you swallow the tough pill and make that trade. But
That's
I also,
my only argument.
yeah,
That's
no,
my
you're
only
absolutely right. I don't blame them for wanting to try to renegotiate because of those medicals, because they were burned just 2 years ago doing something very, very similar. It would have been the exact same deadline if they made that trade. Now, I don't know if the result would have been the same, but the deadline would have been almost identical to 2022.
Yeah, the only difference was Montas was legitimately hurt when we acquired him. He was absolutely hurt. But, I mean, yes, I could see that the guy has had Flaherty's had injections on his back, but he still made his starts lately, and he's been very, very good. So I still make it, especially for a rental. It wouldn't have been the end of the world. So that's what I would have done, especially because, as I say, there's no point acquiring a Juan Soto unless you're going to go all in. That was more my thinking. However, I could see both sides of the argument for sure. I would be interested to know what the package was that we reneged on. But I'll tell you what, I still think Jazz Chisholm is an amazing pickup, and it was someone that I've been looking for a number of years. So I think that he's going to have a really good future as a Yankee. And we've got him under control for the next 2 years, and his contract is super cheap, crazy cheap. So he's not going to affect anything in terms of the payroll next year. It actually helps us because he's so versatile. So we're quite covered.
Bobby, listen, I wanted to thank you guys for having me back on your podcast again.
Oh, absolutely.
Forgive me for having to leave a little early today, but I want to thank your audience for being very supportive of me. You guys are terrific. I couldn't have gotten through this without your support. As I have continually said, you guys have given me an avenue of normalcy, and I wish nothing but success for the podcast. I congratulate you on getting 700 subscribers, and I look forward to being on again. Thank you so much. It was a great discussion.
Yeah, anytime you want to come hang out, just make the call.
I appreciate
Take
that,
care,
guys.
Spencer.
Good luck.
Thanks,
I'll see
Spencer.
you guys
Love
next
you, buddy.
time. You guys are the best. Take it easy.
Take care, brother. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Tats, you got to eat that crow. D-Rod's here.
Yeah, I saw that. I was waiting for him all day in all the chats yesterday. And I do want to, appreciate everybody that's been in the chat. We have been watching the chat go crazy. But Mike, here's my thoughts. I'll give my thought with Flaherty, and then we'll interact with the chat a little bit and do our awards. But here's the thing: we all screamed with the Montage trade. You knew he was hurt. You still made the deal. Why aren't wasn't the medicals a red flag? So this time, you got to do your due diligence. Well, this year they did their due diligence, and they were like, you know what? I got bit the last time. I'm not getting bit again. I know it's a different player. It's a different year, different circumstance. But we can't yell that they're not doing their due diligence and then yell when they do. So we have to figure out which side of the coin we want to really look at the value on. And I know there was also an argument where it was, how can you allow the Dodgers to come in and outbid you? There was also something else from the interview with Cashman on the Fan that he gave a little insight. The GMs from the other team, they're not, are you in on this guy? Are you in on that guy? What do you want? They're only talking to the team making the trade. They're not interacting with the other GMs. So Cashman has no clue who else is in the bidding. They're not privy to that information. So it's not like he let the Dodgers come in. he didn't know what other team he was competing with, and he did what he felt was best for the organization. Being with the back shots just a month ago, and I know how that sounded. Yes, um, you know when you can't pull something back. Um, you know what I mean? You guys are a bunch of immature.
Any other choice of words would have worked.
I know.
And you decided to go with back shots.
I just couldn't hold it.
No. Don't talk about holding anything after talking about back shot stats. Stop while you're ahead.
All right, I'm done. All right, it's time for the awards.
Oh, good God, that was wonderful. That was one of the greatest moments of Pinstripe Chronicle history. So you guys were all privy to Uncle Tats having a Hawk Tua moment. Woo, boy. Happy Friday, everyone. So let's get into our awards. Holy shit. The MVP goes to Uncle Tats for his Hawk Tua moment. Right. I'll try and bring this back to the rails, but I think it's so long past the rails it's now heading the opposite direction. But the MVP of the series, I'm gonna give it to Jazz. It has to be Jazz. Smooth Jazz Club. He actually broke the Yankee all-time record for a start to a Yankee career with his home runs. Was it 3 home runs in 4 games? His first 4 games. It's never been done before to start a Yankee career. So MVP is the Smooth Jazz Club. And I also have to say, his defense at third base, considering the Yankees just plopped him there, was phenomenal. He played beautiful third base. So I have to give Jazz credit there. Love his attitude. He's a bright, positive guy, and he says it's always been a dream to play for the Yankees. It's a dream come true. He absolutely adores playing for the Yankees, so I think he's going to be an absolutely excellent addition. So MVP, Smooth Jazz Club, and Cashman for getting him. You know, he deserves credit for getting him. But yeah, Rob.
Yeah, it's Jazz. There's no other choice. He was fantastic. His first full series, and he's already getting MVP. Seems like a win in my book. Smooth Jazz. We love him.
Yeah, it's Jazz. There's no other option. I mean, you get to the ballpark an hour before the game, and you're ready to go. I mean, that's professionalism, and that's confidence in your ability, and that's MVP quality.
Let's ask the fans. We've got Joan saying Jazz. We've got Lou saying Jazz. We've got CT saying Jazz. It's unanimous. It's Jazz. Li says Jazz. John, Nosebleed, all agree it's Jazz. Okay, so let's go with the low-key MVP. There's a couple candidates. Let's start with Uncle Tats.
Yeah, my low key. I had Judge as my low key. I thought he had a phenomenal series. It was very close to being Verdugo. I thought Verdugo also did have a good series. So after a lot of his faults, but Judge was just alongside Jazz was just a catapult for the offense. So I thought Judge had took the low key away from Verdugo.
Let's go Robinho.
I'm giving it to DJ LeMahieu. He won us a game. It might be his only award of the entire season, but he's getting it. DJ, hey, good for you, man. I still don't want to see you every day, but hey, hell of a fucking game. So hats off to DJ LeMahieu.
It really was. That's where I'm going. My low-key MVP is DJ LeMahieu. Is DJ 6, Phillies 5 last game. I mean, he literally won the game by himself. Does it make sense? No. nothing about this season with DJ LeMahieu makes sense. He's one of the best hitters of the last 10, 15 years in terms of contact, and somehow he's having one of the worst years of all time. And it's like really hard to measure that up. He's having the worst year of all time. He's got a minus 1.1 WAR. He's got a 200 slug, 200 on base. Everything's a disaster. He's batting 170. But then, boom, he has a career game. Not just a good game, a career game. He's never had 6 RBIs in his life. And that's a pretty distinguished career he's got. So that's why none of this makes sense. So I'll ride in it.
That one game jumped his OPS over 500.
Well, fuck
Crazy.
me. There we go. So I'll take the low-key MVP being DJ LeMahieu. Let's ask the fans. Jared says DJ beat the Phillies by himself. LI, low-key. DJ, give him something. Hell of a game. Agreed. Jones says DJ. Mr. Barros says Judge. Nosebleed says DJ. So that is fine. We will go with that. Let's go with the Clutch Award. The Clutch Award, I'm going to give Aaron Judge. He probably deserves that award anyway. He had a multiple run game that helped us win by a landslide. So I'm going to give it to Aaron Judge.
I promised him that I would give him some credit for predicting a sweep, so I'm going to give the Clutch Award to my dad. He said it was going to be a sweep. He almost blew it. He texted me when it was 4-0. He said, "Ha ha, I told you sweep," and then Philly scored 3 runs. I said, "You tried your damn best to mush it," but not even his jinxie powers could cost us that series because DJ LeMahieu wouldn't allow it apparently. So I'm giving the Clutch Award to my dad for this series.
Uncle Tats.
I gave my clutch to DJ. When you win a game all by yourself, I mean that's pretty clutch, especially after I was not very kind to him on the previous show.
No, we weren't.
Sitting and waiting. Yesterday, I was in NFE's chat. I was in Morning Bruce chat, and I'm waiting to see D-Rod pop in with middle fingers blazing. Yeah, DJ had when you get games like that, it's you those are the things you want to see it. Yeah, and I'm look, as much as I bashed him, I also said that hey, if he comes out and he does well, I'm going to give him his credit for it. You know, he's still a member of this team. So I had DJ was my clutch.
Lots of different people in the Clutch Award according to the fans. Frederick says Grisham. Ken says Grisham. Jones says Jazz. I wonder what moment did Grisham have? No, Grisham was brilliant against the Red Sox. He saved us the game against the Red Sox. What was the clutch moment that Grisham had? Was it the diving play in center field?
I think it was the defensive play in that extra inning game.
That diving play in center field was amazing. Look at the size of that dog. It's actually bigger than Tats. So lots of different candidates. Let's say that, yeah, Grisham with that catch. Okay, well, the fans say Grisham, so we're going to go with Grisham. Let's go with the pitching award. Let's start with Rob.
Giving it to Will Warren. I know he gave up 4 runs, but after he gave up the 3-run shot, I think it was a 3-run shot, he shut them down. He kept us in the game. The pitching in general wasn't the greatest. I know Leiter had a pretty good series. Holmes definitely didn't. Tonkin was up and down. Overall, this pitching was kind of like meh throughout the series. But I want to give Warren a shout because he got thrown into the fire. I know the Phillies were struggling, but that's probably the best lineup in the game. There's a reason they're in first place. There's a reason they're a favorite to go to the World Series. And he did a damn good job. So I want to give Will Warren a shout, and hopefully we see more of him.
Uncle Taz.
I had Warren. I thought, you especially with the trade deadline looming, having to take the place of Cole. So I thought that under those pressure and against, like Rob said, against that lineup, I mean, that was he could have gotten the clutch award for his outing and the way he handled himself. So I give the pitching to Warren.
I'm going to give the pitching award to Leiter. I thought Leiter came in. He barely got off an airplane, and he pitched a clutch inning with the ghost runner rule, and he still didn't give up a run, which is really hard to do, and saved the game. Then he pitched an important inning the game after that. So I mean, I think the Leiter, considering the circumstances, he's barely had a cup of coffee in New York, and he's already pitched 2 massive innings. So I'm giving it to him. I think he deserves it. Looks like all the fans are in agreement with Robin Tats, though. Wall Warren is the fans' choice for that award. Let's go with the Aaron Boone out of 10.
Oh man. We got a sweep. He did make some boneheaded decisions, right? But also a lot of decisions ended up going his way. I'm gonna go 9. We got a sweep. There wasn't really I don't like the whole taking out Ben Rice stuff. That's really what I'm taking a point off. But his decision to start DJ LeMahieu in Game 3 ended up being a great decision.
That's true.
So I'm going to go 9.
Yeah, normally a sweep is an automatic 10 out of 10. But the defensive switch, we've talked about it at length, drives me absolutely crazy. And his stubbornness for Holmes as our closer, even though we won all of the games, I can't give him the full 10 because his marriage to getting DJ into every game, despite his struggles, and like I said, it worked out. So it's hard to not give him a 10, but so many things could have gone wrong with some of the decisions. And so I don't think this time around, I can't give him a full 10.
Yeah, I agree with the weird defensive replacement stuff. Ben Rice has been playing absolutely fine at first base. I don't really know what I'm missing here. Maybe Robin Tats can fill me in. I mean, I've watched every single inning that Ben Rice has played at first base, and he's looked absolutely fine. I don't really see an issue. Now, DJ is technically a better first baseman, but it's not by a margin that would necessitate these defensive replacements. It's not like you've moved Jose Canseco into first base and he's, it's not like he's an absolute potato at first base. I mean, he's fine. I don't see and it's first base. It's not like the outfield. It's not like third base. It's not like a hot corner position. It's not like a key position. First base. You know what I mean? You can catch the ball. So I don't really understand that. So that does take a point away from him. And yeah, the Clay Holmes obsession is what it is. The Yankees are just as obsessed with him as Aaron Boone is, so including Aaron Judge. So what can we do? But I'll have to say, his decision to give DJ LeMahieu that game, although we were all pissed about it, worked. So I have to give him credit for that. The mentality was good. Although I was annoyed, and I still don't totally get this. Why are they catering to Gleyber Torres? Gleyber said plainly, "I'm not moving," whereas the better second baseman is like, "Oh, I'm happy to play anywhere," and they cater to the guy who's inflexible. So I didn't like that. I still don't like that. So I'm gonna give him a 7. Let's see D-Rod, Donald. First base is the most important position in the infield. It's like the catcher of the infield. You're involved in every ground ball, so you want a good defender in late innings. But he's been fine. As I say, Ben Rice has been absolutely fine. I mean, has he made any massive errors? Not really. He's been absolutely fine. I don't see an issue. Rob?
Ever since Rodon screamed at him unnecessarily that one game, he's actually been really good. I think he's got his outs above average, I think, is at 1, so he's been a plus defender. It's been very, very small sample size, but in that sample size, he's been a plus defender at first. And this is a guy that was catching for most of his career in the minors. So I understand where D-Rod's coming from because you probably do want the sure thing in the late innings. But if you're going to leave Glaber in, why not just put DJ at second in the late innings? That's what I would rather see, is have DJ play second. If you got to get DJ LeMahieu in the game, take Glaber out in the late innings because that has cost us a lot this year is Glaber Torres. So if you can get DJ in there, you just don't need Torres in there late.
Yeah. Very good point. That's his gold glove position. They seem to have forgotten that, the Yankees. That's where he won a gold glove, second base. Let's go with the L. Let's start with Rob.
The L's got to go to the Philadelphia Phillies. The city of Philadelphia, again, is getting taken over by New York sports fans. As much as I don't like the New York Knicks, they did it to them in the postseason. And the Yankees fans did it again to them this past series. We took over Citizens Bank Park. Or they did because I didn't go, but the fans took over. I don't like you, Philly. I never will like you, Philly. And that's because I'm a Giants fan. I despise the Philadelphia Eagles with every fiber of my being. So take that L, Philadelphia.
Salute, Uncle Tats.
Yeah, I actually, I'm with Joan. I had Harper as my L. I could have, you can't get that many chances to have your reputation, the back of your baseball card. You can't come up in clutch spots so many times and not deliver. If there was ever a series for him to snap out of it, it would have been against us. Thankfully, he didn't, but he should have. So Harper gets the L.
Alrighty then. I'm gonna give Glaber Torres the L. I thought he had a pretty weird series. Well, he was 0 for 5 in one game, and he was 0 for 5 in another game. So this dude just didn't hit, and his defense almost cost us a couple times. He made one phenomenal play where he backed up DJ LeMahieu. But he was dropping balls, he was dropping double plays, he was fucking up double plays, and he wasn't hitting. And this is who the Yankees catered to. It boggles my mind why the Yankees are so invested in Glaber Torres. Like, the ship has sailed, so he gets the L for me. Let's ask the fans. Lots of different ones. Melo agrees with me, Torres. But there's other ones. Dev says Phillies. Frederick says Phillies. A couple for Harper. So there's lots of different ones there. So I would say the Phillies get the L from the fans. Let's go with the Aaron Hicks Award. For the new subscribers, this is the award for the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst. And for anyone who needs to know, who wants to know me, I view Aaron Hicks as the worst of the worst of the worst. So thus, he has his own award. So, the Aaron Hicks Award. Let's start with Rob.
This one I'm giving to Glaber. He talked. I understand he doesn't want to move positions again, but he talked and talked and talked about how he doesn't want to do it. And he had a terrible series after that. I mean, they kept him again. Another deadline that we heard his name get thrown around. He's still here. And you thought maybe this time it would light a fire under him a little bit. It hasn't. It hasn't so far, at least. He had a bad series. I know his defense, he's made one decent play. He had a sack fly, I think, in one game, but man, it's getting to a point where I'd rather see DJ out there over Glaber. And I can't deal with his defense anymore. Like, I know a lot of people were trying to defend him for that double play. They were like, oh, it was a bad slide by Schwarber. Glaber had the throw well before Schwarber was even close to him, and he just pulled back and double clutched it and cost a double play.
Yep.
There's only so many times you can try to go and defend a guy. I don't know. I know that he's not going to be here next year, but they seem to love him too much, and he had a terrible series. Just a terrible series. And I'm hoping that he can bounce back tonight, but it's just I can't trust him late in the game. And we've seen that time and time again where he's making these boneheaded plays, but like we said before, he'll make the tough plays look easy. He's just such a head case trying to figure this guy out after all these years. It's insane. But he was terrible this series.
Facts. Uncle Tats.
Yeah, I know we've gone at lengths with the deadline over the last couple of days, but my Hicks Award I gave it to the fans that bashed Cashman, saying this was his worst trade deadline ever. Have you watched Jazz on the mound? Have you watched Jazz on the field? Did you see Leiter on the mound? Come in. Leiter got to the game in the third inning, and they actually gave him the option if you wanted to, start the next day. He's like, "Where's the bullpen?" We got rid of Ferguson. He was in chat he was talking to everybody till the last second. So if you really think he had that bad of a deadline to say it was his worst one, sorry, you are Aaron Hicks. You are the worst.
That's a good point, man. Because after the trade deadline, you're looking at X and there was far too many really irrational.
A lot of haters. Not even
a lot of irrational takes. Cashman's, blah, 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 blah. Now, I have pointed out some things that I would have maybe done differently. I would have certainly brought in a lefty reliever.
Mm-hmm.
That might be something that might come back to bite us. But I certainly would have made the Flaherty deal because the Dodgers seem to be a bit more aggressive, and that doesn't make any sense. But in general, when you make a big deal like Jazz Chisholm and just to be forgotten about within 24 hours is weird. Had the Yankees made that deal on the trade deadline day, it would have been different. But because it was 24 hours earlier, it was forgotten about. So I know we're in the world where now everything needs to be instant gratification, but I mean, it was a solid deadline. It was not bad at all. When you get a good reliever like Leiter, it does deserve some credit. And he didn't give up too much. So we've still got Dominguez and Spencer Jones and a lot of our guys. We've still got Oswaldo Cabrera. We've still got Peraza. We've still got these guys as well. And so we've still got a farm system, and we've improved the team. Is the team better now than it was before the deadline? The answer is yes. So I don't really know why Brian Cashman got absolutely railed as he did on X, and I don't think that was necessarily fair. So I agree with Uncle Tats there. That's a very good point. But my Aaron Hicks Award, I'm actually giving it to Clay Holmes. He blew the save again, and it was 3 hits in 1 inning, and I'm so tired of hearing, but it was really bad luck. Listen to the exit velo. It was all 60 miles an hour. It was bad luck. It was bad luck. Look at his whip. It happens all the frickin' time. So miss me with that. He constantly gives up multiple hits every single inning and puts the Yankees in a tough spot. So bad luck or not, he still seems to find a way of putting us in a hole. And even in the save which he got, he left a hanger over the middle of the plate that got absolutely tattooed and went to the wall. And it was a phenomenal catch at the wall. And meanwhile, this is what was really making me laugh. Michael Kay was in full spin mode, gaslighting us. Oh, it's just terrible luck with Clay Holmes. He's having a great year. Everything's great with Clay Holmes. Aaron Judge, the great Aaron Judge, says Clay Holmes is the best. He's not interested in anyone else. Boom! And it's high. It is far. It is caught at the wall. So give me a break that Clay Holmes is this wonderful closer, right? He almost had 2 blown saves right there, and he was within an inch that it wasn't. So he is not this great closer. He is still a bum, and he cannot be our closer going forward, which he will be, because again, Brian Cashman reiterated it. He's our guy. We love him. We are happy with him. Aaron Judge, Aaron Boone. So they're not moving off him, but it will come back to bite us in the ass because it is Clay Holmes. So that's it. So he gets the Aaron Hicks Award. Not because he was the worst performer, but I'm sick of the gaslighting. I'm sick of it. I'm very sick of the gaslighting. He's not a good closer. He's a very good setup man. He's perfect in the 8th inning, but as a 9th inning, he's not the guy, and I will absolutely maintain that to the bitter end. So that is my awards for today.
All right. And, we also have a series coming up this weekend. Oh yeah, I feel bad for Thorpe. You talk about
Yeah, you see how good Dylan Cease is over there in San Diego? It'd be real fucking nice if he was a Yankee.
Right.
But we have the series coming up with the Blue Jays, and I with the moves they made. I don't want to say. Look, I think this is going to be a solid series. I don't think it's going to be a dominant one. It is still the Blue Jays. They are going to play us hard. For some reason, the worst teams always show up when they're in the Bronx. So I'm expecting a battle, but I do expect they need to win this series. So especially that you have Baltimore and Cleveland battling it out. Cleveland already won that, and that's a 4-game set. And so if Cleveland wins that series, that could really, and we win ours, that could put us in a good position going forward as the schedule starts to soften. But we will break all of that down on Monday. So we do want to thank everybody that spent their morning with us. Do want to thank Spencer for coming, hanging out with us a little bit. Appreciate you always. And if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out with your friends, your family. It's changed around the corner. This has been the Pinstripe Chronicles, where fans become family, where those pinstripes of pride and play hard.
No back shots.